I've said it several times since Saturday. I thought the interception was what killed them. They've got to be able to pass the ball down the field more. There were times Saturday where Mark just looked like he didn't see any, like there looked like there wasn't anybody open, but then you're looking back at some tape and you're like, okay, there's guys open here or there. So it's not quite crisp yet. I also don't think they took enough shots. At the same time, Iowa State and Gronowski really doubled down on this today at his press conference. Gronowski brought up how, Albany, Iowa rolled through Albany, right? I mean, he looked bad in the first quarter, but once they got it going, they rolled through him. But even against Iowa State, both these first two matchups, these teams have really been trying to take away the deep ball. And Iowa State's just really good against the pass. The numbers last year say they're one of the hardest teams in the country to pass against. Iowa still should have taken more shots. That's my opinion. So whether it's more play calling, whether it's more Mark is not being opportunistic when that play is called, of throwing open his receivers, you got to throw open your guys. Rocco Beck did that in the first half on Saturday to the Eskelsen kid, and just threw him open over Deshaun Lee. It was not bad coverage by Deshaun Lee. He just threw him open, and Iowa held him to a field goal. But that's what you got. That's what great quarterbacks do. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, these people that are all, I'm not going to look at the chat today because I don't want to see it. These people that are already saying that Gronowski, and I'm not going to call anybody else specifically. It's not just it's not just people. It's not just the average fan. There are other people that have platforms and talk that people have sent stuff to me over the last couple of days where some of these individuals are talking about how, well, we learned that Mark Gronowski is not as good as we thought he was. And we learned that we're really close to the end of Kirk Ferentz. And it's like, okay, we can have those conversations on a broad scale. Are you really going to sit here and act like we learned that based on one game? One game, and you're saying this is what we learned from the Cyhawk loss, where they lost by 3 on the road to a top 25 team? Everybody has a right to their opinions, and I have a right to my opinion. I think that's ridiculous. Like I said, maybe later in the year we'll be able to say, well, we've got half a season with a different quarterback and all this together. Now we've learned this, this, and this. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to jump on that boat right now because I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't agree with it. And that, again, everybody has a right to their opinion. I'm not saying they're not authentic opinions. I do think it's living in the moment way too much, and we're all guilty of that at times. But what I learned from the Iowa State game on Saturday is that the passing game is not there yet. All right. I learned that Mark Gronowski's got really good legs. He's just as tough as he demonstrated week 1 against Albany. I learned that the corners might be a little bit better than we thought because that's one of the best deep threat teams, at least the last few years. I know they lost some receiver play, but that's a really good pass offense, and Iowa really made it hard on Rocco Beck, held him to 16. So the defense looked pretty good. I learned that the defensive line has room to grow because they didn't get home as much as they need to. All right, Kansas State had like 4 or 5 sacks against Iowa State week 0. I don't think Iowa logged a sack on Saturday. So those are the things I learned. I didn't learn that Kirk Ferentz is going to retire at the end of the year. I did make a statement Saturday. Theoretically, somebody brought it up. If he goes 5-7, like if we want to play this, make-believe land, and he goes 5-7, yeah, he may retire at that point. And I'm willing to say that, but I don't believe he's going to go 5-7. So, and this loss at Iowa State does not tell me that he's going to go 5-7. So I'm not trying to rip anybody. I just don't know why, besides it just being an emotional game, and we're just so tired of bad offense that we can't wait until past week 2. It's just too early to be making these types of generalizations. I know people conclude that it looks exactly like it did over the last 5 years. That's not true either. But let's just wait and see give them a few more games for Pete's sake. And we're not going to learn anything this week either. This is a horrible UMass team. It's a horrible UMass program. It's a team, by the way, down their starting quarterback this week and down several other starters. Iowa should wreck them by 40, or maybe more, right? If you put Albany and UMass on a field together right now, I don't know who'd win. I have no idea who'd win that ball game. That's how bad UMass is. But let's just wait. They get Rutgers in 2 weeks. They get Indiana after that before a bye week. If they win the next 3, I think we're going to be feeling pretty good going into the bye. All right? And I'm not saying they're going to. I happen to think they will. But I'm just saying, regardless, if they win the next 3, we'll be feeling pretty good. None of those games are unwinnable. So I just don't understand the jump to judgment that we as a fan base or media people or whoever wants to make based on one close loss on the road. I don't get that.
Again, I think it has to do with not just the evaluation of the football team. I think it has to do with circumstances. And one circumstance is comparing this program to Iowa State and not feeling good about losing to Iowa State when that's not been something that's been a regular thing for a long, long time.
I'll just remind people, though, of 2002. Iowa loses to Iowa State with Brad Banks, and they go on to win, have double-digit wins. I'll remind them that Iowa beat Iowa State in 2022, and nobody's going to endorse 2022 as some brilliant year. They were horrible offensively in 2022. All right. So it's not always a direct indicator of what's to come. And, you know, frankly, if 2014 is another example. If I'm looking at this team right now, I'm looking at, and this is glass half full. People accuse me of being pessimistic, but everything I talked about earlier from positives that I took from Iowa State, they are really good up front right now. I believe they're very good on the offensive line. Okay. Losing Addison hurts them just in general in several different categories: leadership, obviously pass catching, blocking, run blocking, etc. So that hurts, but they're really good up front. They are better at receiver. We just haven't seen it to the degree that we expected yet. But I don't know how you could argue they're not better at receiver. Are they where they need to be? No. Are they where they need to be at quarterback? No. But they're better at quarterback. I mean, are you kidding me? Did we watch the game Saturday? I'm just saying, I know Mark struggled at times, but he also made tons of plays with his legs. He did make a few nice throws, had a deep ball that was on pretty much on target to Seth Anderson that drew a pass interference. So some of it's play calling. Some of it he's got to be better. Some of it's Iowa State's just pretty good. You watched the game, Mark, right? This is one of the few games you tune into and basically watch it from start to finish. I know 13 points is not okay. That's not enough. But do you feel like what you saw Saturday was an atrocious performance by Iowa?
So we'll stick with the passing game, the wide receivers, and the quarterback in particular. Judging that performance by what we've seen the last 5 years. So I'm playing along with what you just broke down because you gave it a comparison to the last 5 years, but then also gave it a comparison to what it should be as a reasonable passing offense. What did they pass for, like 85 or 90 yards? Something like that?
That could be.
Or something in that range. I looked at it before, but I don't remember the exact number.
Again, though, context is important here because they ran a lot of time off the clock in the second and third quarters, mostly on the ground. And they had long drives. The first one ended in a touchdown that got them back in the game when they were down 13-3, end of the first half. Second one, they settled for a field goal, went way too conservative, I felt like, at the end of that drive. But my point in bringing that up is those are choices. Those are choices to go conservative, run the clock, try to control time of possession. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know. You're right in saying that they got to throw for more yards, but it's not like they went out there and threw 40 times and ended up with 80 yards. Okay. Their yards per attempt was low. I don't know what it was off the top of my head, but that was low. They're obviously not at a 50-50, which is where Tim Lester said he wants to be preseason. Every offensive coordinator would like to be 50-50 pass versus run. They're not there yet. So, and again, Iowa State's hard to pass against. So I understand what you're saying on the yards thing, but I just don't think that's a perfect indicator of where we're at right now. And I've been a guy who's advocated for total offense as a whole at season's end. I think total offense is a pretty good indicator. It's not the perfect, but it's a pretty good indicator. But 2 games in, both of which were very matchup dependent as far as stats are concerned, I take somewhat of a different approach when I look at those numbers.